Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, this is an early one. I mean, we normally go about 10 o'clock, but even 9:30 is a little, and you're 8:30.
Yeah.
8:30, baby.
Wait, where are you located? Where do you live?
Nashville is what most people would call it, but I'm about 40 minutes south.
In like Franklin area? Is that where?
Just a little bit south of Franklin, direction? Even in Spring
What's
Hill.
your address?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just a little bit further south of Franklin. So it's called Spring
nice.
Hill.
Nice.
It's about 12 minutes from Franklin. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
It's nice down there. I like
Yeah,
down.
we love it.
Yeah.
Hey, so we should probably say we have Matty Mullins on, and this is our first non-drummer or bass player guest we've ever had.
Yeah.
You're the
I'm gonna
first.
rub it in Jake's face so hard, dude.
Dude, I literally was going to bring that up too. It's funny because, again, this is just our dumb, fun podcast that feels like therapy, but there are so many drummers that we haven't had on yet. So it's funny that we just,
I know.
so many people are like, oh, we'll just have Matty.
Yeah, no, I'm honored for real.
Hey,
and there's,
yeah.
I am the worst drummer in the world. So, Jake and I have often had a lot of funny conversations about me and drums. And, so that just makes this even sweeter, to be honest.
Well, here's what I'll say. Let's kick it off with this, because I will say that honestly, obviously, just because of who you are to me is why I want to have you on. But I've never worked with a singer that has rhythm like you. Factually, I've not that I've worked with like a trillion singers, but I've just never worked with a vocalist that's like had the rhythm that you had, and it truly blew my mind. Like, and there have been good ones. I mean, then there's been some very bad ones, but I thought about it.
List every singer you've worked with now.
But it's just, so I did think about that, and obviously like trying to tie it into drums, and we're to talk about a bunch of shit, but I've just never, like, sometimes you will be more on stuff than I am, which I think is funny. Like, you're like, dude, this is off a little bit. And I'm just like, dude, you're right. But holy shit. Like, I didn't even know. So it's weird. I just think it's I think that's like part of the reason how you write like you do is because your rhythm is beyond, I think, a lot, most singers. So anyway.
Well, thank you. And yeah, partially rhythm and partially OCD for sure.
For sure. But,
yeah.
But in a way, those can go hand in hand for sure. So,
yep.
I wanted to ask you about that, by the way. So, sorry to interrupt. So on the note of being OCD, I've heard from Nate, you're just like a process-driven person and very methodical in what you do. And I was just curious where that comes from.
I don't know. I don't know if I have the answer of where it comes from. I just think that I see fruit from things that are organized, and it's and I see destruction from things that are messy. I just think there's so much in a band. There's so many moving parts, and when you talk to anybody who is truly successful in music, they usually have a pretty good idea of how their business operates, of how to write songs, how to perform songs, and the level of professionalism that it takes to give an audience what they actually paid for, and so it just like, I've never seen music as just a good old time with some buddies, I've never had a backup plan. Music is all I know, truly all I know. And so for that reason, I take it very seriously. Every single aspect of being in a band, of all that encompasses, is extremely dead serious to me.
Yeah. It's a good thing you joined Anberlin, because that's all.
I was going to say, speaking of messes, like how do you think about living on a bus? Because
let me tell you about
person.
Let me tell you about a band that doesn't. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
no, I'm just kidding.
Totally wrong.
Our bus is awesome in Anberlin. Nate is super tidy, and Dion is just as OCD as I am.
Yeah.
And he doesn't mind cleaning up other people's messes, which is great. It's not necessarily an argument. It's just him, and he'll put on some rubber gloves and start doing other people's dishes.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. I've never been uncomfortable. We have a tour manager who's a great dude, has kind of a process of like stacking and storing boxes in public places, like in common areas. That bugs me a lot. But there's like 17,
we've all been there. Yeah.
17 boxes of LaCroix that is unflavored that no one's going to drink, and it's completely under the table, so you can't put your feet under the table.
It's my favorite.
Man.
But yeah, and I travel very heavy as well.
Yeah.
I have the majority of my wardrobe with me on tour. It makes me feel good to wake up and be able to dress the way that I feel. It's getting dressed in the morning. It's an extension of like what I want the day to be, essentially. Yeah. And I have the whole closet in the back is very much like
styled. Yeah.
Let's talk about this, because I heard that you iron your clothes. Is that true?
Steam and iron yeah. I mean, if it's jeans, I'll iron the cuff. If it's a shirt, I'll steam it. Yeah.
Hell yes, dude.
Man, you are so much more dialed than I am as a person.
Funny, and I think this is why Matty and I click so well, because there are elements of my life that are that way for sure. And we've talked about this. Some of my, like even just now, I like made a joke about, this is our room. That's like, we're trying to change it into my office. So we're like, it's taking a little bit of time. Obviously 3 kids, makes it tough. But the one thing, even before Matty was in the band, Dion and I would keep the bus so clean, because to me, when you're living areas, that's the only way you can relax, especially if you're on like a 5-6 week tour. Like no one wants to sit and shit and just be like, so it drives me crazy. So with that aspect, it's like, but then like certain things I don't care about. And so it's funny that certain parts of my life, like my old gray Ghost 2006 Camry, rest in peace, was a disaster. And I remember when Matty came down for practice and he had to ride in it with me. I was like, dude, this is so bad. Like I was like,
his nightmare.
Did you just feel shame?
Matty probably pictured my house.
Yeah, I was about to get into the car and he goes, hold on, there's no door handle on that side.
Well, I mean, part of that's also because I'm poor, but also the other thing is, it's like my house, and I've said this, is like, and I take this seriously, but like people will come over and be like, there's no way you have kids. And it means a lot to me, because I want my house to like feel, not that we like, delete the joy of like having toys and stuff, but there's places for it. We put it away. I vacuum probably twice a day, where Angela and I are always just like cleaning. So I think the connection of that, but then there's certain elements in my life that I'm not. So seeing Matty, every single thing is in the proper order and all of it. And it's honestly been huge for Anberlin, because we have that element a little bit, but we've floundered a little bit when it comes to like organization, and everyone's a different spot. So Matty has brought that thing to our band that was very, very much needed. So
I do really personally believe that a clean environment and an organized life is directly related to good mental health.
Definitely.
Agreed.
Yeah.
100%.
And maintaining good mental health on tour is unbelievably hard. You have so many different personality types and traits all around you constantly.
Yep.
And that's just your band and crew. And then you're at meet and greet with 100 different fans every day who have different expectations and different needs. And you've got your live show that you're, responsible for, and all of the things that people are constantly looking at under a microscope. And it's like, if you can just at least start from an organized place, from a place of, I am at peace because my home is in order.
Yeah.
Then chaos can come at you and it's not as earth shattering.
100%. So true. So true.
Damn, you really do have you're dialed, dude. It's crazy.
So dialed. It's so
I like sometimes I feel like I have I got it figured out, and then like you said, like just chaos just comes uninvited into my life. But you are right though, but it's right. If you have it set up to where you set yourself up to be successful, I guess, for lack of better terms, in life, those things are less
scary and stressful.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and touring is such a chaotic lifestyle.
Yes,
so any structure you can set up for yourself just helps so much. I mean, nothing against the Say Anything guys. I love them to death, but it was always a messy environment on the bus. I couldn't definitely the more clean person. I mean, it's fine. It is what it is, but it was just stressful at times. Because I'm a little too type A or OCD. Maybe there's things about...
I think we all are. Yeah. I think it's a little,
maybe.
For sure. Maddie and I are usually like the first ones awake on the bus. Like even no matter what time I go to bed, like I have to have moments before everyone's awake or I feel like I'm going to lose my mind. Like if I wake up and the front lounge is like 10 people, I'm like,
Rick and Morty is on full blast.
Just the
like
most
waking up to Rick and Morty at volume 11, dude. And Joey's just sitting there like invested.
And on his phone.
9 a.m.
He's on his phone, dude.
Playing solitaire and watching Rick and Morty full blast. But that's next peace. Level. That's peace to him, Yeah.
Well, Matty, here's my question. So in that situation, when you don't have control over the aspect of like, say, the front lounge and Rick and Morty and like just nobody paying attention and just like 10 people in the front lounge and LaCroix everywhere and all that stuff. How do you like, what do you do in that moment? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you not get into that and just like, I guess freak out or whatever?
Tells everyone to clean their shit up.
There's times when you just have to embrace it and have fun. And I don't drink at all these days. Back in the day, it makes it a lot easier to sit down. You're like, you know what? I'll crack one of the boys or whatever and just enjoy the moment. But I don't at all anymore. And so it's like, I will usually, if the bus is moving and that is the environment, I'll retreat.
Go to your bunk.
Go to the bunk or the back lounge or whatever. But if the bus is not moving, I do a lot of shopping.
Yeah.
More than anyone I've ever met, dude. It is mind blowing.
I do enjoy it.
That's a vice.
It is a vice of mine, and I have such an addictive personality. So finding things that are not detrimental to be addicted to is really the healthiest process that I have figured out so far.
Are you like, is it shopping in general, or are you like all about finding deals?
Because it's a little bit of both. I mean, like I like to find hidden gems. Like even going to Ross in different cities. It's funny because like you don't like if you have a local Ross, you're gonna go in there and just be bummed every time. It's messy and you're just like, this is the same crap or whatever. But it's like if you're in Wisconsin and you are just gonna pop in there one time, and people in Wisconsin don't, the majority of people that shop at Ross in Wisconsin aren't on the hunt for a pair of like Doc Marten loafers.
Yeah.
And you see those and you're like, what?
Yeah,
and they're $70 instead of $200. You're like, all right.
Hell yeah.
I do enjoy that. And it's kind of like a treasure hunt thing for me. I'll go thrifting a little bit. I'm not as into thrift as some people are, but, that or honestly, like go to the mall, grab a cup of coffee and just walk, there's a lot of times on tour where it is way too hot or way too cold in the outside environment to really like get proper, just standard exercise. And so going to a mall, walking around or whatever, and being alone, having time with my thoughts and things like that. Those are all important to me. But yeah, there's the unavoidable, Rick and Morty at volume 11 moments. And luckily I will never take for granted, the luxuries of a bus, which which is a personal space and a back lounge. We toured in vans for 5 years straight, Walmart parking lots, and we built 4 essentially coffins in the back out of masonite.
Yeah.
We did that too.
It's
so sketchy.
Yeah. Rite of passage. Yeah.
All the love in the world to bands that have overnight success. It's not like it's their fault, but I mean, for those of us that really did grind and nobody cared, and we just like made them care about our music by sharing a lot. That is a luxury that a luxury that I'll never take for granted.
It's so funny. The byproduct of being addicted to shopping too is like you're gonna look nice. You're gonna like have a nice, but the byproduct of being like drinking a lot is
you look like
completely different.
You don't look it does the opposite. You're like, I'm gonna spend all this money and turn to myself a haggard.
That works.
Yeah.
I'm almost a month forced sober because I've been on medication. But
whoa, yeah, you put on a bunch of antibiotics.
But it's been
how's
so
it feel?
Sick. I literally talked to Angel last night and I was like, it's so funny. Every time anything like this happens, I'm like, why do I even drink? Like, I'm just like, I feel so much better. I sleep well. I'm not spending money. I'm just like this. So I'm definitely going all through January at least. And I probably will just continue it because I'm like, obviously when you're sick, you're not in the mood for stuff. But even now I'm way better and I'm finishing my antibiotics, but I'm like, I don't think I want it. I'm like, I'm going to just see how long I could go and kind of find that balance.
Matty, he's usually drinking a beer or a glass of wine at like 9.
Well, if it's Friday, of course. Like if we're doing a podcast on Friday, I'm having a glass of wine. But
if Nate does get permanently sober at any point, I am going to find a really sick non-alcoholic wine endorsement because wine in a wine glass is so important to his brand.
Yeah.
There's got to be a good one, right?
Yeah,
no,
even if it's
I've tried
apple juice, dude. We're gonna keep wine glass
for sure.
With Athletic Brewing, at least beer, you have some good
the beer's
NA.
great. Yeah,
is it good?
Yeah,
it's very good, dude. Athletic light beer. It's like super low in calories, and it fully does the trick, man. Like during the
interesting.
Actually, I was funny. I was going to bring this up when we were supposed to do this Monday. The Bucks lost Sunday night, and I was fully depressed. And I was like, I got to do a podcast Monday morning. But that night, I think I chugged a 6-pack of NA beers because I was so stressed, and I was just like, whoa! I was like,
okay, so this is the real reason we had to cancel.
Yeah. I woke up and I wasn't in the urgent care or anything. No, but it's funny. I thought about that. I was like, I don't want to talk to anyone, dude. I was so sad. But
that's a bummer, man.
Matty, do you mind me asking? So, how long has it been since you stopped drinking?
It has been 5 months yesterday.
Nice.
Hell yeah,
man.
Yeah, dude. So it is. I mean, like I said, I whatever can make an environment more comfortable or my body feel better, like, or even take me out of my body. Like, I have all the traits of an addict. I just do. Like, I am an Enneagram 7. I want to be stoked all the time. And substances can encourage that, you know? And I just saw a pattern in my life where I was like, you know what? This is the only way that I can be who I need to be for the people that need me to be somebody is to choose like literally a life of sobriety. And that's no dog on anybody that drinks or partakes in anything. I have no judgment or opinion for anybody else's lifestyle whatsoever, but I do see enough in me, enough of loving repetition of things that I love to,
that's a good way to put it.
To at least address,
man. Yeah.
You know, that needs to be what it is for me.
Also,
good on you to recognize that. That, I mean, that's a whole another beast to have to see things that way and know when you have to pump the brakes.
Make changes in your life. Especially on tour. Like that is, that is like Vice City, because it's so funny. I always talk about this, and like, I'm very thankful because I think similar. Like, I don't, you know, it's hard to know if like fully addicted personality or not, but like the fact that I dodge not being a full on 2-pack a day chain smoker blows my mind, because when you're on tour, when you're just like, we have downtime, everyone's going to go chill. You're just like, this is so fun. Sick. You know what I mean?
Dude,
you're like, this is
so sick. You're like, man, I want to have a stick.
Yeah, it's like,
rip a heater, dude. Just like,
and tour just spawns a drink. Like you wake, and it also the lifestyle of it. It's like, you know, again, like Matty said, no judgment, whatever. Like our band's pretty wild, but like you'll just, you know, it feels like the thing to do, and you could get away with it because it's that lifestyle. You're like, I'm in a rock band. Like, why would I not drink?
What
at noon?
I mean, is your boss
going
to get mad at you? You know what I mean? It's like, you have zero accountability, almost the opposite of accountability, where destruction is celebrated.
Everywhere.
That is the lifestyle, period.
100%. And then on top you're enabled in a lot of ways to do these things.
And on top of that, anything that you want to use to destroy yourself is usually free for us on tour.
Instant, you can't. You don't have to look far at all to get whatever you want, which is very
good. And these are just realizations that I've come to. Like I said, it's very important that I put emphasis on like not having judgment for anybody, because I am the person that has, you know, tried anything, and it's a thing for me that I've realized, like, there are people, it's wild to admit, like there are people that can do things in moderation. I am not one of those people. And my other band just put out a song and it's called Overdose, and it's like, it's very much, it's embarrassing to admit that it's like, you want to be like, oh yeah, I wrote this about this guy that I know that really needs help or whatever. But totally. It's like, it's very much about me. The first verse is, what's so wrong with everything in excess? I love it. Moderation never made any sense. More of it. And, I have to recognize that, in my life. And Christian from Blindside is on the song. And so, he's awesome. And I have no idea if we share those same traits. So when we were on the phone and he's Swedish and I'm like explaining the concept to him, he's like, so what's this about? Are you okay? You know? No, it's sick though. That is very much me. And it's been very important. The most important thing that I have done in my life thus far has been admitting my own shortcomings and adjusting life accordingly.
Yeah. Hell yeah. It's beautiful, man. It really is.
Yeah. And I have to tell this short story because I think it's so funny. And again, because, everyone does their own thing, but Matty still being, with us and, not that we were like all ragers, but, we get time alone. We're like, oh, let's party. But this last fly out of the year was so funny. We all landed early and it was like Monday Night Football or something. I can't remember. And we were just on one, and Matty shows up after landing later and walks into the hotel room, and it was like the funniest thing because we were all just in there, and we were just like, oh no, like again. And Matty's made it very clear. He's like, look, I would be more uncomfortable if y'all just all stop drinking. He's like, I don't want that, and I think that is like, because I've been around some people like, I'm sober, it's a dry tour, right? Like however they want to do it. And sometimes that's necessary for the people and it's the people around you. And if Matty did say that to us, we would all respect that and do that as well. But it was just funny because he's like, yeah, man, I'd feel more uncomfortable. So it was just funny. The furthest it could go was us just all like, what's up, dude? We were just like,
I walked in with a business question, which was the wrong.
Matty hit us with like, all right, let's talk about this. Cause like, again, Matty's always on, which is so sick. And normally I am as well, but I just remembered that night. I was just like,
it's like a frat. You're all on different levels.
Yeah, dude, let's
get
into
this. Yeah. It's like, what was going through your mind, Matty? Be honest.
He's like,
no, it was hilarious. I
Matty instantly realized
me, it was so within it was within a couple seconds that I realized I was like, oh, whoa, not the time or place,
We were like diving into number or just whatever. We're like talking about business. And I like looked around the room and everyone's just like one eye and Matty trying to figure, they're just like, yeah, dude, for sure. And I was like, oh, boy.
I still laugh about this thing and I'm going to say it. You guys can cut it out if you want. I don't know what's appropriate and what's not, but
whatever.
We do
but, I texted our tour manager who was also up in the room and partaking in the activities. And I was like, dude, there better be a Coke Zero for me when I get there. And he goes, we have zero Coke. And that's pretty much the same thing.
That was such a good line, dude. That was unreal.
Instant too. And I was like, I don't know why that's the funniest response. But yeah, it was a night for sure. And then I woke up and I was all jolly walking down to the breakfast lobby and I see Christian sitting there just head down, like
with a hood,
a world of pain,
and Christian won't give a shit. But that night, I've not seen him like that in probably a decade. No joke. That's why it was so funny. And he was even like, I don't know what happened. Like he was just like, it was maybe the combo. I mean, it couldn't have been that we started drinking when we left the airport in Tampa.
No, it couldn't have been that.
Couldn't have been that. No
way.
But dude, he was like baby deer vibes. Like, dude, he was like trying to walk. Like, it was so,
he was wearing his Peaky Blinders hat.
He was.
And that made him look even more like an old man
old sailor.
How to speak.
My favorite thing that happened that night is when we were all talking about something and, vocal stuff and Ableton, and Christian starts a sentence real strong. I'm talking. He's like, yeah, well, when I'm editing and then it just stops. And I was just like, we all were like, I was crying. I'd had like a couple of beers, but I'd smoked weed. So I was like laughy, and dude, I was crying laughing. I could not pull myself together.
Well, dude, you know, like in those situations where we're like, we've all been there, where you're like, all right, pull together, like inside your brain, you're like in a room full of people, you're like, pull together, and now say something. And then you're like, That's
what he did. I think he was trying to be like, I'm good. Check this out. I'm going to talk about Ableton.
Then, I had it too.
I didn't know Nate was high, so I texted him I texted him about Christian, and I was like, our boy is cooked. And
I responded, dude, that's the thing about it.
Was a much bigger deal to Nate than it would have been had he not been high, but he was like, oh my gosh, you're right.
I was like, dude. And then I just started looking around the room, and it's funny because I think that's the difference too. If, like, in my opinion, smoking weed and drinking, you get a little in your head sometimes if you smoke too much or whatever, but I'm still so much more on it. You know what I mean? Like, because I talked to Matty the next day. I was like, dude, sorry. And he's like, oh, you were fine. I thought you were like the only normal one.
Like, I didn't see you last night. I don't know what you're talking about.
I was in the bathroom. Oh man.
Oh yeah. Going back to like control though, like if you have too much to drink and you can't function or say a sentence, it's not fun.
No, Christian apologized probably 1,000 times the next day. He was so bummed. Like that's not his normal thing, but whatever.
Everyone has those moments.
Of course, no one is like, dude, how
that's not his
you?
thing at all. No, that's what makes it funny. You know?
But I loved it, dude. That's my favorite.
Yeah,
it is funny though, because now, like, I mean, we're all getting older. Those, like, if you do it, the recovery, and then like even being on tour, like you wake up the next year, like, why did I do that? Like, I have
100%.
I have to get on stage and like actually do this
feel
thing
like garbage every time.
Definitely.
Dude, 5 p.m. me is a completely different person than 8 a.m. me.
And
like the conversations that you have with yourself in the morning, like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
At 5, you're like, oh no, I know why I did that. You know, like, yeah, let's go again. You know?
True, yeah.
Well, actually, life rips. Let's celebrate. Man. That's the human condition, man.
Yeah, seriously.
Very true.
Not to keep talking about touring, but Matty, I think you and I are similar in this regard, being like structured in a lot of ways. And for me, when I was touring, I don't do it anymore, but anytime I would leave, be gone for a few months, come back home, I would have an internal crisis as far as just the shift of going from the touring life to then being home and then figuring out what the hell did I just do for 2 months. I was working, but it was, you know, you're on stage for an hour and a half a night. That's your job.
Yeah.
And it's so, at least for me, it was very jarring to come home and then think about what I was going to do when I was home.
Yeah, it is extremely jarring. And especially, and I felt that, I don't know if you know this, but Bono from U2, obviously, his wife,
never heard of him.
Yeah, when he got home from tour, his wife would put him in a hotel for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Really?
While he adjusted and while his ego adjusted.
Wow.
It is really strange to get home and not have a day sheet.
Yeah.
Or be responsible for making your own day sheet. And it's like, this is funny. And I never would have told anybody this, but I'll say this right now.
Exclusive.
I've been ever since. So I just did like pretty much 7 months straight. I did a Memphis tour that led into a 6-week Memphis tour that led into a 12-week Anberlin tour that led back into the second leg of 6 weeks with Memphis. And
Holy
it was all
cow.
back to back. And so you get into a zone, and I got home and I realized I was like, I'm going up to the studio because Anberlin is recording right now, or I'm going up to the studio. Memphis is doing stuff too. And I have absolutely no reason to get ready. Like I'm holed up in my studio. The windows are covered and I have work to do. So it's like, I don't have human interaction, things like that. So I started getting dressed and like putting together outfits and just having fun with that in the morning, and then posting a selfie every day on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure some people are like, man, that guy's so like egotistical or whatever. In reality, that's a mental health like thing that I'm doing, where I'm like, all right, to motivate myself to get ready, because I know it's good for me to like, and this was a big deal during COVID too. Like a lot of people were talking about, hey, get dressed, shower,
take care
do
of
your
yourself.
thing, because it's going to make you feel more human. Well, it's like when I got home, there's not like thousands of eyes on me every night. I'm just going to stay in my pajamas and go get work done. It's terrible for my mental health.
Yeah.
And so I motivate myself by getting ready, and I'll be like, here's the outfit that I picked out for the day, and I'll post a selfie or whatever. And I'm like, I literally don't even care what people think. But for me, it is like, this is like, as a human being and the desire to be seen, you're just like, all right, I did this. I'm a normal human being. Here I am. What's up, everybody? And then now I'm going to get to work. At least like I've solidified that I have done something normal today. You know,
that's so interesting. I mean, there is something to getting ready in the morning and feeling like you have a purpose in your day
and control.
And it's hard to get motivated when like literally no one's going to see you. You know, it's just like, I'm just doing this for me, I guess, you know? And so, that's been like a new practice of mine, which is fun and stupid and awesome all at the same time.
Yeah. Dude, I don't think it's stupid at all. It makes
I relate to that totally. And it's funny because, you know, even just being into fashion or clothes or whatever you want to say, but like, dude, I got no problems with saying I don't give a shit. I change my outfit so much before I decide on it. I will like sit there and be like, this jacket, especially if it's like colder out, like right now, dude. And I love it. Even if I'm like, I'm going to the grocery store or whatever, but those days where you're like, I'm not going anywhere, I'm just going to stay in my pajamas, every single time when evening or night rolls around, I don't feel good. Like not I just feel like, I'm like, that sucked. Like I never felt cool today. I never felt like I like did anything. So when people are like, oh, I laid around in my pajamas, it was the best. I'm like, that's my nightmare. Like I always feel crazy. I'm like, if I don't get dressed, change my shoes 3 times, decide which pants I'm wearing, wear a hat, not wear a hat. And I think that's even why I like accessorize so much. Like I wear so much shit, like sunglasses, hat, anything I can wear on myself. I feel better always, like more layers, more things. And if I don't do that, I feel, and everyone's so different. And I know that like, cause I talk to like, you know, Reed, and this is why
I wear the same thing, and I have the same clothes for like the last decade or two.
But that gives you peace, and that gives you And some people do that. Like, here's my regulars, and I wear the same thing. It's not like I switch out every single day. Like I have jackets that I wear multiple times, but just everyone's different, and I think you find that. But I've realized that I'm like, as soon as I feel plain, I'm like, dude, I feel awful. Like the crazier I dress and go to, I'm like, I'm myself. Now I feel,
dude, it's an expression. Of course. And it's been that. I don't know what your childhood was like, Nate, but I know that you did some modeling and stuff like that. But like, it's been that way for me since I was a kid. I am not high fashion and I am not trendy. Like Nate is super trendy. He knows like what's hot with like the underground crew. I am not at all. Like, I'm like, it took me, a couple different hoodies to figure out I was going to wear this plain black hoodie. But it's how I feel. And it's important to me. But my point being, my punishment, in like 5th and 6th grade was that my mom would pick my outfit for the next day if I didn't behave.
Really?
Yes. And, so it's like, always been that for me. And she had some yellow golf pants and like a swirly green shirt. It actually sounded
sick now. Yeah,
it's like a Nate outfit, honestly. That's but she had this outfit and she knew that motivated me. She's like, I'm going to pick your outfit tomorrow for school if you don't clean your room, if you don't do, A, B, C.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal to me, more than like, taking away video games or anything like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny,
dude. It's awesome you guys are like that. I'm totally different in that regard, but I think it's rad that you dress and like actually put thought into it. I literally try everything I can to not put thought into my clothes, so I just keep it simple. And Tuesday through Thursday, I'm in an office, and it's hard to really change it up. You just have your standard button downs and everything else. So for me, like in the morning, if I can get dressed fully, have a cup of coffee before the kids wake up, it's a victory, and I feel amazing. So
for sure.
That's the life I live.
Well, dude,
it's impressive to me that Nate is the way that he is with having children, because I would say a big part of my lifestyle and like how I operate and things like that is that my wife and I do not have kids, and we are unable to have kids. This is like never going to be a thing for us, and so the fact that Nate is somebody who has multiple children and also tries on multiple pairs of shoes, that's sick to me.
How do you do that?
That's different.
That is,
and I think that's cool.
I think it's just how it's like, I don't know. It's just how, like, sometimes like Angela will be like waiting on me. Like, I'm like, hold on. Like, I'm like in the room, just like, I don't know, just how it's, and I think without being like when I gave in, but I think I did used to struggle with it, especially as I got older. I was like, should I just eventually stop? And I just had this conversation recently, and David Lynch just passed, but he's someone that I've always like, he was 78 or whatever, and he looked like every day he gave a shit. And I was like, I think I now realize I'm like, as I get older, I want to be that. I still want to be 50, 60, like doing what I want to do. Like I want, and I do feel like for whatever reason, the more people that are like, what the fuck is that dude doing? I feel better. Like I'm not like, but I'm not like I want, and personal style is such a crazy topic, and I love it. But like, I looking back at the years of Anberlin too, people like almost bust my balls about like, dude, look at your hair here. What were you wearing here? And it doesn't bother me at all, because I'm like, that's just how I've been. And I like that I've always been able to like try shit. And I'm not, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's easy to be embarrassed about like, dude, you have white and black hair and it's like a mohawk or whatever. It's like, I don't like it now, but it's led me
I will say,
to where I'm
Nate
at.
it's almost painful for Nate to abide by societal norms. And to the point where like, I am a fairly robotic person, as we have been discussing, and we, wrote a song called High Stakes, and I'm like, sick, gambling. Like, we're going to make a music video that's like Ocean's 11. And
it was good, by the way.
Thank you. And it wasn't my idea at all. It became Nate's idea, where we, instead of like an Ocean's 11 video, like we made tennis balls speak. And it's like, Nate has taken me so far outside of my comfort zone, even with like, we're working on something right now and we're doing an album cover for it. And where it is currently there's not a ounce of, it could not be further from anything that I ever would have imagined in a million years. And it's like, the second that I think something's cool, I know Nate's gonna say, nope, no way. Right. So it's like that. But then what's really cool for me, and something that Anberlin has gifted me that no other opportunity in my life ever has or ever will, is the ability to be a part of something that I don't understand, and then to look back on it and be like, whoa, that's awesome. And
that's cool.
To really like remove myself. I love the High Stakes video. Like I truly love it. And it makes zero sense. And every idea that came about, I was uncomfortable with, because I'm so type A. And looking back on it, it's really like, there's like a level of imposter syndrome. Like, well, I'm actually not cool enough to have been a part of that, because that is a cool brain that thought of that. And I have a, Elon Musk brain. I don't have a cool brain, right?
Dude, it's so funny you said, because I feel the same way about Nate, like being in a band together, Carolhood, and it's me, Nate, and Tim, and there have been so many moments like that, playing with the two of them or writing, and I'm like, I don't have this brain, or I don't feel like I should be in this room right now.
Not true though.
No, but like I relate to you, Matty, in that regard.
But on the topic of drums, my guitar player is mixing new Anberlin, and
oh, nice.
And he is also a very robotic person. And he called me and he's like, hey, I just want you to know,
y'all love
before I send you these mixes, that like they called me on the side and told me that the drums are intentionally not on the grid, and for me to not put them on the grid. And I just want you to know that a big part of like something sounding punchy is it being on the grid. I've been told not to do that. And I'm just like, you know what, dude, I'm not even going to get in the way here. I know, I know that Nate's drums and that grid are so specifically correlated with the corduroy Jinkos that he wears that
these drums like, sound like corduroy Jinkos.
When I get to the other side of this and I look back, somehow, some way, I'm going to be like, damn, that's cool, actually. And so I'm just going to let it be,
That's awesome.
What's funny, not to just turn this into me and Matty, like going back and forth talking about stuff, but in a similar way but almost on the opposite way, you now being involved has brought in so much that I needed as well, because I do think there's times where I'm too far. Like I'm can be loosey goosey with stuff where I'm like, yo, like, you know, this is fine or whatever it is. And I think that you've brought the like side of us that, you know, Christian, I've talked about it countless times. We're like, dude, like, not that you brought light to like the shit we weren't good at, but I think that connection is what right now is making this so sick and so much fun, because it's just a new element to us that we've never had. And it's like, it's needed, you know, again, going back, it's like moderation, right? You know what I mean? Like there's that balance of like, and I don't want to be like, this is all Matty to put like even heat on you, but Matty, we had countless conversations about what our plan is with Anberlin and moving forward. And I hit a spot where I was like pushing for like our last 2 EPs were more like artistic, blah, 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 whatever. You know, I think I was trying to accomplish something with Anberlin that was in a different mindset. And so having Matty come on board, having these conversations, and Matty was like, this would be sick. And I kind of like, for the first time maybe ever in Anberlin, was like, I'm gonna kind of let this happen. And Matty was right. And it was like, even High Stakes wouldn't have been a song without Matty being like, we should do this. And it was cool because we all were like, all right. And then it was cool to see the other side of it. And I was like, damn, this is the move.
An opportunity to reset as a band.
100%.
So a mix up is good. It's just in any situation, especially being in a band when it's a relationship with like 4 or 5 other people. And like, really, it's not always easy, and when those things line up, it's pretty incredible. Because we've all had it where it's like, you know, it doesn't line up like that, you know, and it can be
like a 5-6 person marriage.
Basically, yeah, seriously, yeah.
I have plenty of shortcomings, and I have a serious lack of like coolness that everybody else in this band does have. I think that the honest truth is that the biggest value that I bring to Anberlin is that I am a huge fan of the band.
Yeah.
And the perspective of a fan being in a band
been good, huge for us.
Gives them perspective as to what their fans may want, at least some of them. And that's been really cool, because I'm like, hey, this might sound crazy, but Anberlin that sounds like Anberlin would do really well. It's so funny. And the majority of people that think of Anberlin, if we're just putting egos and all learning experiences and everything aside, is Feel Good Drag, Never Take Friendship Personal, like these riffs, this pop element, this upbeat element, this happy with sad lyrics element. All of it is important to the Anberlin brand, and it never was abandoned intentionally. It was a growth thing, and it was a experimental thing, and artists being artists is what it was. But hey, listen, nobody wants you guys to have a new singer. I'm aware of that. And if we can sound even more like what people fell in love with,
for sure,
and what I fell in love with, then maybe there's a chance for people to accept this.
Fully.
So I was going to ask you about this when it was announced that you were taking over as the new singer. There was a photo of you wearing an Anberlin shirt.
Oh yeah, real? It is so real. And I thought honestly, not thought, but I had suggested that maybe this thing that we're recording right now, that be the actual album cover.
Hell yeah.
And we were like, wait, this could be sick.
Board.
And then the next morning, Nate was like, actually, album covers are forever. Let's not do that.
Well, I just had to find the balance, because going back to me, sometimes Matty and I rile each other up in a good way, but where we're like, I'm like, yeah, let's fucking do it. Let's go. Let's do something. I don't care if people hate it. I don't care. Like, I've always said this, anytime with any type of art, like album art, whatever, if people just see it and they're like, okay, it drives me crazy. I want them to either hate it or love it or be confused. I never want anyone to go, oh, like, but within the music side, that's why I think this is cool. It's like doing music that people are like, oh shit, this sounds like Anberlin. And, you know, again, we've had to navigate so much since he's joined with, like, you know, you want to play to fans, you want to gain new fans, you want to do all that, you want to be respectful of what we built. And so there's so many elements to it. but finding that balance is good. But yeah, it's funny. I went to bed juiced. I was like making album covers, and then the next, I slept on it. I woke up and I was like, you know what? I was like, I love this. Maybe let's do it on a shirt. But I was like, I still want, this album that we're doing to live in a space where you're not going to look back on it. It's like, oh, it was a joke,
Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing with bands, though. I mean, we all have bands that we listen to, and my favorite bands are the ones that they just kind of did whatever they sort of wanted to do. I mean, they were respectful to the past to them, but moving forward, they were like, we're going to do this because this is what we want to do. We hope that you accept it, But
I will say there is nothing more jarring than the High Stakes single cover going to our next single cover. There is no bigger difference in the entire world, and I think it's cool. I really do. I'm like, dang, that is not something that I would have thought of or brought to the table at all. But I think it's very cool for this band. And I have noticed that Anberlin fans have had so much of Nate's creative influence in everything that they've absorbed over the years that they do also think it's cool and they do expect something that's not normal to come to be presented to them. It's not a conversation in the comments of like, yo, dude, are you guys experimenting with psychedelics? It's oh yeah, this is so Nate.
Yeah,
I mean, dude,
of fan.
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, I mean, I've still had to step into situations too where I wasn't the original member with a band that I was playing with, and I mean, not everyone was happy about it, and you sort of have to it's weird. You gotta but at the end of the day, I'm also respectful to what's already there. I'm not trying to come in and shake it up and make it a completely different thing. But at the end of the day, I'm still me. You know what I mean? So I have to sort of inject myself into
you want to put
situation.
Your stamp on it.
Yeah. So it's the same thing with you, Matty. It's the same thing with you. It's you step into it's much different being a singer in a band than a drummer. That's a completely different thing. But you still got. I know you know this, but you still got to I'm not going to completely change who I am to put myself in this situation and make other people happy. I sort of need to still keep the thing that makes me who I am. Yeah, exactly. So it's not easy, but at the end of the day, it's like I said, I saw the show in New York on the last tour, and I told Nate, I was like, dude, this is that was fucking sick. It was so good, and
Thank you.
Yeah, it was, and it was awesome because you find yourself just I was just like, this is a really good show. You guys put on a great show. And that's
hell yeah.
At the end of the day, that's, that's all I want as a fan. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I fantasize about the people in the comment section that are really hating on stuff, going to their bedroom secretly and listening to the new stuff. This rips. Don't tell anybody. This is awesome.
Do you read the comments? I was going to ask you that.
I never do with Memphis, but the stance on Anberlin and the guys in the band and how they react to comments got me so out of my comfort zone of I started just clapping back at people for fun.
Yeah.
Just fun. Yeah.
And it's awesome, dude. It gave me an entirely new perspective. I had one time with Memphis where I had commented back to a fan and a bunch of people responded to me and they were like, whoa, dude, grow up. People are going to have bad opinions about you sometime. And I'm like, okay, this isn't my place. And then back in being in the Anberlin thing, it's it's such a different mindset of okay, so everybody who listens to art that they had no part in making, they have no idea how much went into it. They have no idea how hard it is. Gets to just have whatever stupid opinion they want, and that's fun to them. And I'm like, well, we're gonna have some fun too, you know.
And we never really did it much either. I mean, we were always pretty
until recently, right?
That's what I mean. But because I've always felt, I've seen singer or any band member respond to comments, and if it's long and super serious, I'm
all emotional,
yeah. I'm like, dude, just hit them with something funny or confusing and just move on. And I enjoy, so it's been fun. We don't do it all the time, but there's a handful. And then I'm also going to use this time to bring this up. And
Oh, I think I know what you're going to say.
Dude, I've said this. Okay, so
yeah, I know where you're going.
It's an observation, and truly, I'm batting 100. So I noticed. So with this, again, not everyone's going to be happy. Some people are saying, change your band name, not the same band, whatever. Everyone's just. But I have noticed that every shitty comment or judgmental or even just straight up mean, like factually, like just saying something that's like, just straight to the point and just like instantly they're trying to like make you upset. In their bio is a Bible verse or something like Jesus follower, like the most judgmental, brutal comments. And we now within the group chat screenshot and send it. And I think I've maybe missed one, but there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
Man.
Yeah, it sucks because I will say I am a believer and therefore I'm so embarrassed by the fact that Nate is 100% accurate. And I do believe that Christians are the number one cause of atheism. I think that they are some of the most unforgiving and ruthless creatures on the face of this planet.
Yep.
And I don't even have any ammo to clap back or like defend Christianity at all because it's so spot on. And it just sucks.
Well, we got a soundbite for the podcast.
You want to tell these people like, hey, you're making this whole thing look like a joke. You're dragging 100%. The name of Jesus through the mud with every single action that you're making. And it sucks. But it's like at the end of the day, dude, Nate's right. And it's sad. It's sad.
It is. Yeah,
it is sad.
I agree. It's a bummer because it's that thing.
Why can't we all enjoy? Why can't we just all enjoy?
Or if you don't like it, I don't even care.
That's
if you comment.
What I'm going to say.
It's just the fact that it's always like mean and super judgmental and angry. And again, that's like, I don't know if we've ever gotten this into this on this podcast, but I think that's constant right now everywhere. You know what I mean? Like
definitely
the Christianity name. I'm like, y'all aren't. You're not doing it. You know what I mean? I'm like,
you're not doing it.
You're not doing it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's like the whole like actions thing. And it's just like, guys, like it's whatever you think you're trying to accomplish or convert or sway the majority. I'm like, oof, So
I totally agree. Cause I'm a musician to some degree and understand what goes into creating an album or song or whatever else. And I even feel bad when I have an opinion about another artist puts out a song or an album and it's not for me. I couldn't imagine commenting that to somebody though. Like everyone has their opinion and that's fine. You're entitled to it. But then to go out of your way to trash the artist online and just
make them feel bad or whatever.
The real concerning aspect of it is at a foundational level, people put out what is inside of them, the age-old hurt people thing, right? So if the most angry people, if the people who are most prone to hurting other people are claiming Christianity
and to have peace and joy and love,
what's actually happening?
Yeah, what does that say?
What does that say? And
what comes out of you is that
we should address that.
For sure.
Are we here to solve it right now?
Let's figure this out.
No, it is. I just think it's important to say that is concerning and
definitely
and embarrassing and I don't expect this to change anybody's behavior whatsoever. But when you make comments like that, when you put comments on the Anberlin Instagram like that, you are the butt of every single joke in our bus. And you become a laughing stock. And it's like that. I just want you to know, if you listen to this podcast and you think that you might be able to change the trajectory of this band by leaving an angry comment, you have given us fuel for memes and for hilarious conversations.
So is the next single cover like a montage of all the screenshots of people's comments and like all
we're releasing all of their profiles and their addresses.
Yeah. That's the next music video. It's just just scrolling. It's just like
that actually video. Sick. It's just us. It's just their comments and then our comments back. It's the whole video.
Yeah. I will say, clapping back is throwing fuel on the fires.
Dude, it's funny.
Fun.
It's fun.
No, I know it's fun. It's just fun.
I couldn't do it, but I don't blame you for doing that.
Well, don't knock until you try it. That's all I'm saying.
I know. Now that you're saying it, it sounds kind of cathartic. I'm not in a position anymore to worry about that as much.
No, Reed, you could definitely do it. You should go on and just start going on all your favorite bands' Instagrams and just be like, "This album sucks, dude."
Or just going back to comments from your old band of like 7 years ago and responding.
Yeah,
like, I thought long and hard about this.
Like MySpace, like back when you had your MySpace band, you're like going back on there. No one's even on there anymore. You're just
find them and get them.
What do you mean?
I also didn't create a bunch of dummy accounts with Bible verses in the profile and start hitting the Anberlin. That's what I'm going to do.
Giving us content.
Yep.
I just realized something when you were talking earlier, Ben. All of us, especially now that Matty's in Anberlin, we've all had to step into other bands that are very much like established and like members have been there forever. And whenever you replace a member, it is such a strange feeling to take that over. And it's like, and a lot of musicians don't know what that feels like, and not to be like, oh, we're extra sensitive, but it is a strange thing when you step in and someone's like, where's their old drummer? This dude sucks or whatever. Dude. It's like you have to feel it all. And like I said, I don't really doom scroll the comments because it doesn't. Again, sometimes it gets me more pumped if someone has an opinion. Like I said earlier, with art in general, I like if someone's like, I don't like this or whatever. But it's a strange thing for sure to hop in.
It is.
Have to take over and read those comments or hear people yell at you like, bring back the old drummer or whatever. You know what I mean?
Dude, it's insane. It's so insane, dude. Like I've read like I don't do it anymore, but I would like go on Reddit and be like, oh, what are people saying? And I'm like, never doing that again.
You're like, oh boy.
I've had moments like that too, Ben. But you're right. What you said earlier, Ben, my God, like it's one thing to replace a drummer, but a singer.
No, exactly. Dude, Matty's in a spot.
That's another realm.
Yeah, and
dude.
I mean,
I think that's
Steven doesn't sound like anybody else in the entire universe. You were never going to find somebody that was going to.
We didn't want to
even reminisce, you know. Yeah. And so it's like when fans come in and they're like, "This doesn't sound like Steven," you're like, "Really?"
You're like, no shit.
You're like,
"Oh,
no
really?"
Shit, dude. What do you...
That's crazy.
Thanks, Sherlock.
Yeah.
It would also be super weird if you guys are like, hey man, can you come in, but can you like change your voice to sound like
hilarious if you change your voice.
So funny. All of a sudden we're like, what is? And I will say, us as a band, when Matty joined, I think we get extra protective because, and I don't know, we've said it so many times, but I don't know if fans realize, like, this sounds so, but like Matty saved us, like truly, like we were done. The band was over. That was it. Steven came to us and he's like, I can't do any of this anymore. And Christian and I were like, I think this is it again, which is fine. Like we were, we were at peace about it. I was very eyes wide open our whole career. So I never felt like I needed to do anything more when we broke up in 2014. So when this came about and Matty being who he was and did what he did and the way he works for our band and the amount of passion and energy and everything he puts into this, when we read comments like this, I'm like, I get instantly defensive because I'm like, y'all don't understand.
Yeah.
We would just not be here. Like we wouldn't even get a chance to keep doing what we're doing. Y'all would have never seen Anberlin again, maybe in like 10 years when we're all, do a reunion. But I'm like, so when fans, quote, fans are that way, I instantly get even more angry or not even angry, but just
defensive.
Because I'm like, dude, like Matty gave us a chance to still be here. And when fans just do that, I'm like, you watch your mouth. Like we all just like, I'm like, it's funny how that kind of,
how did it all come about? I'm sorry if you talked about this before, but how did it actually come about where you started to play with Anberlin and became the new singer?
Oh, man, it's just as crazy as you could imagine it being, like I am literally sitting in this exact spot. And I get a text from Steven and he says, hey, I don't really know what your goals are for the future, but would you consider doing a world tour as the singer of Anberlin? And the conversation was much different back then about what my role with the band was going to be. And it still is very much evolving on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I run downstairs and tell Brittany like, hey, guess what? It was insane. And we hopped on the phone and talked about it, the logistics of everything. And it was very much that. I think Steven was thinking about people with higher registers that he knew could come in and maybe do something. Yeah, Anthony Green or whoever, right?
Right.
And had just asked me, like he just asked me. And obviously that's the culmination of like a lot of conversations between him and the band up until that point of him saying like, I can't do more than I'm doing. But to me, it was a complete shock and total surprise up until that point.
So it was out of the blue.
Out of the blue.
You didn't see that
out
coming.
Of the blue. And Steven and I have connected over social media a handful of times, but in person, we had spent a grand total of 15 minutes together ever. So, and I had only ever seen Christian at a bar and got starstruck because I was a big Acceptance fan too. So it's like, and I went and saw Acceptance on this like reunion thing that they did and everything. Like that was my story with the band up until this point. So it was very out of the blue. And had it been any other band, and I'm telling you, any other band, it would have been the easiest no in the world because
so much work.
Somehow, some way, my other band is statistically across the board the biggest we've ever been, and it's a very cool season for that band. And there is no worse decision than joining another full-time band.
Yeah, dude.
So true.
Do you mind me asking, what do your bandmates think about it? Are they on board with it? Is there a little bit of tension?
There's not even an inkling of concern about my dedication to Memphis Mayfire. Those guys are not worried. And the very first stipulation with Anberlin was you guys have to work around Memphis' tour schedule. That's just how it goes, you know? And they were super cool about that. And then the way that it has worked out is now both bands are working around each other, and it's very cool.
Yeah.
Like it's
been good.
It's not been a thing. Really, the only thing that it means is that I'm on tour for the rest of my life, right? It's like,
I was gonna say that you have a busy schedule.
It's busy, but it doesn't.
Yeah. But I feel like you thrive. I feel like you thrive in that though, and
I do.
In a weird way.
It's not. It hasn't hindered Memphis, and if anything, like this came at a good time because Kellen is extremely serious about his recording, production, mixing, mastering career, and has never had the opportunity to book bands because we are the band that would a week before, this is almost a true story, jump on a Slipknot tour like that. Like we we've done things like that. And it's like, so for me to be like, hey, now that I'm in Anberlin, they're going to work around Memphis' schedule. But the more prepped long-term that Memphis can be, the more that we set in stone and solidify our plans as a band, the easier it will be for Anberlin to operate. And in turn, the easier it'll be for Kellen to thrive in his new career as a producer. And so it works out well for him and it works out well for me. And like I said, if it was any other band, it would be like, this is ridiculous. And even the conversation between my wife and I of I'm going to be gone twice as much.
Dude, God bless her, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I had bought my first pair of cowboy boots at Goodwill, and we went to the Tooth and Nail versus Solid State tour, I think, that Anberlin was on. It was that or a different tour. And we were at the Big Easy in Spokane, and we went out behind the venue before Anberlin's set, and we walked across this old, like, decrepit bridge that was like rusty and falling apart. And on that bridge, I looked at her, and we were 16 years old, and I said, I think I'm falling for you. And that is a iconic moment.
Whoa.
That's so sick. It's like such a movie.
Nate, you're responsible for finding his partner in life.
In our life, that is a pinnacle. And that night I bought that red shirt that says Anberlin with the girl on it.
No way.
And I'm wearing that in my sophomore high school photo. And Brittany grew up on R&B, specifically R&B and nothing else, and still very much listens to R&B almost solely. But
that's awesome.
Anberlin, like there was aspects of that band that gave her and I an opportunity to bridge the gap between what is not Norma Jean, Bless the Martyr, Kiss the Child, but also is not Ray J. Right. And it's like
common ground.
And so we had this opportunity to connect on rock music for the first time ever. And so there will be those aspects of our relationship, the foundational things that will never be couldn't have, that's our story. And, so when this opportunity came about, it was like, this is going to take work and this is going to be hard on our marriage, on our schedule, on everything. But no matter how hard it is, it's not as bad as getting to the end of our lives and being like, I wonder what if I would have joined Anberlin.
Respect.
For sure.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And so
that's gotta be trippy for you,
dude.
too.
Also, that's some universe shit. You were probably you were like, if I say no to this, like the universe kind of, this has been years and years of just building up to this moment.
It's crazy.
And you're like, that's crazy.
And I'm like an emotional dude. So if I get truly, I feel like if I get to that, yeah, dude, kind of, because it's like life is so complicated and so unique and so much doesn't make sense. And it's like, and I will say this, like, and I said it earlier, but like, it's only Matty. Like when this happened, there's no, like, it could only be him because it's the strength, even on our side. And I'll tell a quick side of that story is like, Steven hitting him first. And then when Christian called me, it's like, yo, man, I just talked to Steven. He pretty much said he's like, can't do anything anymore. Like, and he's like, but he did mention something about Matty. And I didn't know Matty. And I was like, okay, like, I think this is funny. We played like Furnace Fest in 2021. And Matty came on stage and sang with us. I was like, who is this dude? I was like, what is happening? Because Steven was like, yo, I'm going to have Matty from Memphis. And I was like, okay. And so he came out and saying, but we didn't even like talk, I think we might've said hi, but so as soon as he said that, Christian, I was like, dude, how's this going to work? Like, I was just like, this sounds impossible. Like, it just sounds impossible. He's already in a band that's massive and touring all the time. I was just like, I mean, let's just have the conversation. So then the four of us got together and it started just like little bit by little, like being like, okay, like, is this going to happen? And so I will say like the names that got thrown around was like, Anthony Green and other singers. And I was just like, even thinking about trying to do this with anyone else, we would have been done, or we would have tried it for a second and it would have failed. I truly deeply believe that because I think that had to have been exactly how this went. The history with him being able to do it. Like, it's just, there were so many things that were going against us. And so it's so wild to sit here and to be having the most fun I've had in this band ever. And I say that very, very clearly. And just the most excited we've been because we're just in a spot of life where we're able to just kind of do this. And it's all because of Matty. And I feel like I know we've said that to fans, but it's like, I don't think they fully grasp that. You know what I mean? That it's like, it's like, it sounds like a movie quote, but it's like, it was only Matty. It was only Matty.
Well, dude, as a fan of the band, when I saw that show, it translates a lot too. Like, if I'd seen, both, bands, and, nothing more, especially as just like a person that enjoys going to a show, seeing a band that they like, it was cool to be like, oh my God, these guys are like having so much fun. And like it translates. And I think that's like, I don't know, man. That's a beautiful thing. And it sounds like you guys are in a good place. It's like fucking awesome,
Yeah. It's the most fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sad I haven't seen you play yet with Anberlin.
You got to see
it. I missed the show with Under Oath. I had bronchitis.
That was a good one to miss. That was a very good one.
Dude.
You lucked out, dude.
You're fine.
I would have taken bronchitis over playing that show. So.
Oh, that's right. I forgot, Nate. You did say that.
That just gave me bronchitis.
You had some like technical issues.
Yeah, and dude, it sucks. It sucks even
I've had
worse.
Nightmares worse than that.
Yeah, it sucks even worse because Under Oath came out and put on like literally the best show I think they've ever played, and I was like, oh my gosh, dude! Like we had
that was a bummer night,
train wreck of. And Joey and Christian. So what happened? Joey and Christian had recently migrated over to MIDI switching for their guitar pedals. So like instead of having to switch between channels, like they're like from this distortion to this clean channel to this or whatever, it's like it's happening through MIDI, which is very common these days, and it's awesome, and it gives them a lot of lenience to just move around on stage and not feel confined to their pedals. But that night the whole MIDI system went down, so it was putting him on patches that were for songs from other albums.
It was a nightmare.
And the only way to get to the right channel is to go to the pedal and scroll through hundreds of different tones to get to the right one, and then you start playing and the computer switches it again. And so
switching Joey's tuning
and changing tunings and all sorts of stuff.
distortion, but it's supposed to be like a heavy distortion part. Just goes into like
clean.
the wimpiest, clean,
so,
like the way. Like,
so the first song of our set was the majority of the song was bass, drums, and vocals. No guitar.
No, that was the second song in the
second song.
Yeah. Me, Matty, and Dion. No joke. No guitars, and just Christian and Joey ghosts, because just that feeling when
that
you're
feeling
like,
sucks.
That's an awful feeling.
After that song, I was like, hey, well, we wanted to find a way to make this show special, and I guess we did. You'll never see that again, hopefully.
Or you're like, this is it for me. No.
Yeah. Matty's like, thanks for my last show.
Yeah.
Well, it is. It's hard to not be embarrassed. It's hard to bounce back from anything like that, because it's just like technical stuff is the worst, dude. You feel so vulnerable.
It's their hometown show.
Angry.
You know what I mean? Their hometown show, and a city that's so iconic to them. And one of my favorite rappers was there that night and watching our set. And I was like,
can you say
Kasky?
Can you say who? Okay.
Yeah, he is so sick. And
I haven't heard him.
That's so unbelievably talented. And dude, was like literally like up in the balcony area just watching us, and I was just like, of course.
Yeah, dude, it's
that's
so
how
hard.
It goes.
Yeah, it does, man. It's so funny because halfway through the first song, we were ripping. I was like, let's go. I felt so good. Like all the light, like everything was so dialed. And then to go from that to down here so fast, you're just, it messes with your mental space. Like we were all just like, we walked off stage and I was like, dude, and to come to find out, it was literally like
a loose cable
plug. It was like the outlet was, it was like, dude, it just
here is
so
the absolute
frustrated. It's
worst part of the whole thing. So right before we walk on stage, Nate comes up to me and hugs me and goes, I am never anxious on stage when you're with us. And then we go out, dude.
Jinxed it, dude. You jinxed it.
Yeah,
I ruined it.
Everything falls apart.
Did. It's all my fault. But it's so, that's so
it's
true.
Never been more perfect with you. You get up.
Dude, I'm so glad that all of our outlets work so well. All right, let's have a
Yo, I gotta argue though. This being being a drum or drum podcast or whatever. But like, it's funny. I'm like, why can't you just like as a guitar player just
plug in, dude?
Pedals, man. Just plug in, baby. Why you gotta have MIDI do it? Come on, man. What's your problem?
It's funny because this struggle is real with that, right? Like the old school punk rock. I'm like, remember when we had no technical issues? And I'm like, yeah, we also sounded like shit for sure.
Nah,
you know what I mean?
That's not true. That's not
true. But you know what I mean, though. It does. It's like the piece when things are just dialed, and Matty brought that to our band again. Like, I think that like all of us had to level up and be like, all right, like before I was like running our tracks on like an iPod
with a splitter cable.
I do remember that.
And we just were like, and again, we were in the balance of like, are we a real band again? Should we do we spend the money? So now like all of our lights are like time coded. Everything's just, it feels so, and I will say that night was a very rare occasion. Like that should not happen. And it usually doesn't. So, but when it does, you're like, this is all you wish for is that there was a mic just pointed at an amp. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, the good old days.
I am,
again, technology sometimes you just so much can go wrong.
Yes. It betrays you.
I am on a personal mission. This is a goal of mine for sure. I'm trying to convince Anberlin that it's worth it to not make any money if we can have pyro. This is it. We are Memphis has been in this mindset for a long time. We're like, all right, we're gonna be poor, but there's gonna be fire. And
you heard it here first, folks.
I support this. I support this just for the record.
Never take 10 or 20-year tour. You're gonna have pyro. Okay, perfect.
Listen, it is so expensive, and
wait, have you done it for Memphis?
A lot. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So sick,
and I mean,
I love it.
It is like more expensive than it ever has been before. The permits get crazier and crazier and crazier.
Oh, right.
Memphis has had to fly in a personal fire crew anytime that we've done it. So they come from out of state. You pay for all their travel, their accommodations, and you pay for the permits for them to be there. And then we also have to personally pay out of pocket for the fire marshal to come and inspect the stage before our set. And we're not even headlining, right? So
why does the fire crew have to be flown there though? You can't find a crew locally like you do for the Chiefs?
A specialty thing?
Not in Wisconsin, which is where the biggest rock shows are, right? Is like in the Midwest. And so there are specific pyro teams and companies from across the states, and that is a very standard part of it. They fly to you,
I see,
with all of their stuff and all of that or whatever. But it is crazy expensive, and it is very hot. And there is something so special about solidifying not only to your fans, but the people that work at these festivals, that we are so committed to the future of this band that we are investing every penny you give us into looking the best we possibly can. And to a bunch of guys that have a bunch of kids, that's a really hard sell. Like, hey, I know you want to feed your daughter, but it's tough for sure. I think maybe like an easy way to maybe grease them up is we'll do some CO2, some cryo, and just experience the blasts. But
I love it. I love it.
But yeah,
pyro scares me though. I've never been on stage with pyro.
It's awful,
that's
dude.
intimidating.
It is so hot, and so they have a line.
It's gotta be.
They have a line where the fire team will tape it off, and it's usually I think it's like 4 to 6 feet in front of you are the cannons. And then there's also some behind you, like around the drum riser or whatever. And you have these off limits sections, but in the middle of a show, no one's going to be there to grab you and pull you. So you're in the zone and you step over that tape line, dude. At Aftershock in California, whatever team we had hired for that did not follow protocol for how close the cannons were supposed to be to us. It was already like 100 degrees outside. So every time they went off, and we did the tallest blasts that we'd ever done for that show, and I got off stage and I felt sunburnt, and I had to lay down, and they were just dumping water all over me because the temperatures are so hot. Even the crowd, halfway back through the crowd, you can feel the heat from a pyro blast. So when you are a few feet from it, it is unbelievable. But dude, we're talking about rock and roll. We're talking we're talking about the thing that is so expensive that like it's something people think of from the 80s, or the headlining band on whatever download festival stage or whatever. So when you commit and you bring that level, people who showed up at 2:30 to catch your set and they see that, they're like, okay, I'll come back and see them when they come through. And it's like, it's an investment. Everything is an investment.
But now you have to have fire every time.
Absolutely.
People are going to be expecting.
Oh, dude. And
you dig yourself into this hole.
Yeah. Nate's just doing this. He's like, yeah, sure.
Oh,
yeah,
wait, Nate,
yeah.
We can't hear you.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Nate.
sorry.
He's just quiet. He's just quiet.
I coughed. I shut my cough button. Dude,
wait, you have to believe I think so much about being in a band and having hopes of getting to a big band size is believing in the impossible and having almost ignorant faith in yourself. And so the idea is, if we spend 15 or 20 grand to bring fire to this crowd, maybe that means in a few years, our guarantee will be 15 or 20 higher. And
it's true.
And it's like,
dude, you're firing me up. Let's go.
Can we believe with the mindset, and do we see Anberlin as a professional outfit? And how professional of an outfit does the crowd think that we are? And
100%.
Like what is it? What are we giving them to believe? And sometimes that's an investment that no one else is going to pay for. It's up to you.
Listen,
dude.
You guys got the right guy, Nate. I'm just saying.
I know, dude.
Nate, you're retiring.
Yeah. Fuck your retirement.
The kids can go hungry.
And my kids. Yeah, they can eat Lunchables forever. Yeah, fine.
Dude. Nah, dude.
No, dude, my only quick experience with pyro is so funny because it was probably like 2011. We went to Brazil. No, sorry. It was on the same tour. We were in the Philippines and we were playing, and if for some reason we were like, did well there. Like we'd only been there twice or something, but this show was huge, like for us at the time. And it was in a venue, not outside. And this team was like, yo, we want to shoot off pyro. And I don't even know if what's the difference of like I don't know if it's just the flame or like they shoot up the like thing and it pops, whatever it was. Yeah, kind of. It was like some type of, whatever. It's just like a whatever. And this was shortly after that, band that burnt that venue down. Remember that? It was like
Great White.
Yeah. So dude, I was like, look, and I was like heavily involved with all this stuff. And I was like, the only way I'm down is if you test it and we can see it. Cause I was stressed. I was like, we got to, so I have a video and I got to find it somewhere on my old computer or something. We're in the middle of the venue and they're like, all right, we're going to test it. And I'm like filming. They're like, all right, here it goes. And it shoots off. I was like, whoa. And I was like, oh my God. Then I film up. It hit the top ceiling, which was fabric, and it's burning, literally on fire. Way. And I'm going, oh no. Oh. And I was like, this is just full on, starts burning. And the dude comes out and shoots a fire extinguisher like 30 feet in the air, like a sniper, and just takes it out. And I was like, we're not doing this. I was like, are you kidding? It was like out of a movie.
That's
incredible.
What if we wouldn't have tried that and we committed and there's just fans and then someone, that for me, I was like, that's it, dude. Pyro's got to be done.
That's incredible, dude.
Well, Fall Out Boy on the When We Were Young thing did so much pyro. Yeah. I was probably 200 yards back. They did towards the end of the set. It was like every chorus. It was so hot. Dude. I was so far back and you could feel it as if someone was right in your face.
Doesn't it sucks the oxygen out of the like it sucks the oxygen out of that area too. So like you're on stage like running around and all that stuff and you can't breathe too. So you're just like
Pete Wentz also had a flamethrower on the end of his bass or whatever. It's so dumb.
That's gonna be you, dude. I'm championing
It's crazy, dude. It is. But yeah, I mean I'm sold out for this band, and I do have the highest of hopes, and I do see it as something that people have not experienced what the band is fully capable of yet, and that's a cool thing. It's a cool place to be in, and I will continue to fight to bring expensive experiences to the camp.
Well, Matty, I know we're over time, so I want to be respectful of it. But thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
this has been awesome.
Honestly, it's an honor and a very fun thing that I get to rub in my drummer's face. So,
well, we gotta have
before we go. Who's your favorite drummer that you played with?
Yeah. Get me in trouble here.
Big joke.
Oh man, yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me for real.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Love you, Nate, and we'll see you guys.